Alrighty guys, I am finally back to my craft table, thank goodness, because I've been running around showing dogs for the last couple weekends and haven't had a chance to get back and finish these beads, which I'm dying to do. So these are the ones I'm most excited about. Those are the butterfly wings over a gold core. I'm curious to see because there's so much color in there in the gold, and resin usually makes metallics just shimmer, so that'll be fascinating. I'm excited to get to it. So just to show you what the goal is these guys, whoops, run away. These guys were one of my first batch. They're really light purple, so it has some of the blues and the teals from that pastel version of these. Minimal, but yes, but so these have the resin coat on them. So let me pull back up the one. So this is just matte clay, fully unfinished, and then that has a resin coat, and it's just, but there's no metallic in the clay. Very minimal metallic in that clay. So I don't think we're going to see anything there. But yeah, so my goal is resin up a whole pile of beads. So let me show you guys most of what I use. There's a couple different ways you can polish them. I haven't started playing around with all the other stuff I have, but just to show you a couple options. You can use any kind of gloss varnish, gloss glaze. I keep a big jar of varnish floating around here somewhere. That would require, I still prefer a tumble or a spin for it, because that'll keep it moving around the bead and not let it get pooling anywhere in particular. So that's what I've got going on here. But anyway, back to the point. This is the resin I have settled on recently. I tend to go on a kick every few bottles, and I'm like, oh, what else works great? And I order everything I can find, and then I pick one that works the best for the way I'm working resin right now. So at the moment, this is my favorite. So I'm going to have a bottle of resin. Hopefully there's enough in there. Lighter. I like the kind of, I guess they're butane style, where it's got a lot of fuel. Tends to kick pretty good, so it just takes a little pass. They usually have a little bit of a whoosh noise to them. So the funny part, the entertainment factor. Yeah, so I got a resin mixer and decided I wanted to make it into a bead turner. So I got in my modeling software and 3D printed a frame. And I'm sorry, guys, I may be able to put this on the website, but I mean, it might work for most resin spinners, but I still have to figure out the best length, because this was the original base length, but then it didn't work great because then the support wasn't far enough forward, and then I also had to 3D print and model my own skewer thing, because the wood skewers at the moment are working the best to keep these snug and from moving around too much. Yeah, so I built myself my own, and I've broken it a couple times because I keep putting too much pressure and sideways tension on it, but at the moment this is what I have and it's working. So yeah, yeah. So this part's going to be hard to replicate, guys. I'm sorry. Hopefully I'll be able to come out with a kit for you all at some point so that you can do your own. Yeah, so that has a head to put. So once I finally perfect the plans for this, it will be something like that, where an end piece can slide in and lock your skewer in place. I was trying to print these out, and I'll show you what I was playing with if I can find. Oh, there it is. Anyway, so I was, sorry, there's randomness gets stuck all over the place. So yeah, I was trying to print out different thicknesses of the skewers, and I did manage to 3D model where I can get that to sit in. And then I have a couple that are just caps that I can shove things into. So that's tape on this metal holding it in, but then there's nothing to hold the beads to here. So the trick to this daydream is that the beads have to fit snugly on whatever you've got them spinning on. So again, I'll probably keep fiddling with it, and I'll come up with something that's actually available and that's more shareable and awesome. But until then, this is what I'm playing with at the moment. So, let's see. I need my UV resin. I need a paintbrush. Oh, you know what also will help? Change the lighting. And we're going to zoom in a bit. Let's see. So it might not need to spin quite this fast, and again, I don't have the system. If the plank went the whole way, it would sit a little more steadily, but whatever. And I like it to roll towards me more than away. And I'm gonna get out of the way of my screen, so hopefully, actually I'm gonna try dropping you guys a notch or two. Let's see if that doesn't allow me. Sorry. To see my camera and sit down. Okay, there we go. Ha! You guys got the fun version. Alright, so my goal is going to be start out by laying. Hold it still. It gets me in the way, but whatever. So I just lay a little bit of resin, top to bottom. Let the nozzle kind of move it around. And like I said, I've kind of come to terms with I like it to roll towards me rather than away. And I am actually touching the beads with the nozzle ever so slightly just to let the nozzle start pushing and pulling the resin around. And I'm a little worried about doing that last bead. The last time I did this, I didn't have this end loose like that. And whenever I push in, that's going to shove that. So I don't want to do this last one. I'll just do it in the next group. So I'll probably always have an extra bead sitting there. So then I'll take my little brush and I'll just kind of sit here and let it shape my beads out of touch. So and just kind of watch it and make sure it's touching because it builds up a little bead of contact, and I just kind of shimmy that back and forth until I think I like what's going on with the shape. So make sure it's covered to both ends, and then just kind of let it shape itself. Kind of watching the shape of it to make sure it's looking round. That one had a bunch of extra, or my brush is finally filling up, but so that one's settled a little more to that side, so I'm going to put a little pressure and I'm going to draw the resin a little higher over here. There we go. A little better shape there. And if I want, I usually use the silver end caps and keep them on the beads, but I could very easily just remove them all from the beads at this point and finish my beads without an end cap. Or I could change colors if I had the same size of different colors. So sometimes you can order a kit that's got a whole bunch of different colors in it. So that would be nice if you want to make sure you have all exactly the same sizes, but want to be able to change the color. So what I'm looking for is that the shape's uniform and it's got the curvature toward it. I'm going to set my paintbrush into something, paper towel or whatever, and just get it out of range of the UV light. Oh, I didn't point that out, did I? It's going into a UV light. Let me see. Zoom you out. Zoom you out more. There we go. So UV light sitting there. It's not on yet, but it will be turned on in just a moment so that we can get all these in. But yeah, so I'm happy with the uniform shape on everything. Let me go ahead and steady that up for another second, and I'm going to hit these with a little, just a dash of flame, because I want to make sure if there's any bubbles in there, they release, and a little bit of heat allows the resin to kind of move on its own and settle just a little bit better. All right, so I'm still watching the shapes, and it's looking like they're starting to pull inward a little bit, but I usually almost always do 3 coats. So I'm going to assume that, yeah, I think the heat made them pull in just a touch. So I do still want to use the heat because I want to make sure that I don't have any bubbles set in there. But I think I am going to just touch up the shape on them just the tiniest bit. And then watch them again because they all kind of lost shape. I want to make sure that they're not settling just in the center, but that they're pulling to the outside edges. So my first iteration of this idea was I took a tumbler turner and used a pen stick, I think it was, the things that were used to make pens, and then I was able to stick my skewers into those, but it's a really slow spin, and I was getting a lot of funk to the coloration and stuff. All right, paintbrush is way out of the way. I'm gonna slide this through and into there and make sure I didn't lose. Okay, and turn that on. And we're just going to give it a short minute or two because it doesn't take very long to set enough to be able to do a second layer. But yeah, so first iteration of this, I used a tumbler turner with the pen. The little is basically a little round sponge that goes onto the tumbler turner, and then it has a bunch of holes in it, so you can put a whole line of pens around, and it just keeps it moving. I liked it well, but not amazingly. But it definitely worked. Because it kept it moving enough, but I did find that my resin was not filling up the whole space, but that might have just been whatever resin I was using. So it took a lot of coats and some finessing to get an even coat. The faster movement definitely seems to be working better. So that's probably plenty of, light. So it's going to come out without the end stick because it's not actually stuck in there. Whoop, now it's running everywhere. Stop it, stop it, stop it. Okay, back in your hole. Alright, so I'm going to turn it off for a second. Nope, not backwards. Wow, it would be easier if I had one that just went off. And yeah, at the moment, I am completely and utterly pleased with those. Oh, they almost don't need another coat. But still, I'm gonna go ahead and do it anyway because I think the fatter the coat, the better the coverage and the more shine we get behind it. So again, just touch. And I won't need nearly as much resin this time around because the brush is still loaded with it and the beads are fully coated, it looks like. So I just kind of want to put an additional skim coat on them while they're still a tiny bit tacky. Oops. And hold that steady. Actually, I'm going to hit them with heat first. Let's try that, because that seemed to allow the resin to move of its own accord toward the middle. And then I don't think I'm going to introduce bubbles by touching them, so let's just hope. And honestly, they're so small, I don't think you'd see bubbles unless you went deep dive looking. Seems like I'm getting a lot of, it's either building up on the brush or I'm putting a ton on that last bead. Probably just building up on the brush. Okay, so brush is out of the way. Slide that into position and turn the light on. Give it another minute. Usually I've been doing 3 coats, but looking at how good that looks, I'm pretty sure 2 will do it for us. So just give it a few seconds here. Doesn't take very long. And then the next thing I'm going to want, usually I go ahead and set them on a tile and I might move it out of the way so I can prep another one. Okay, figured it out. All right, so we're going to turn that off, turn that off. I'm going to set that out of the way, but leave my little setup so you can see how, actually let me show you that real quick. So that's how I have that elevated so it sits above, it's just I have those on the rails. Go. On the rails, just set on those, and that's getting me the height so that I fit under it. But now once I've got those guys done, I'm going to lift this out of here and just try to keep that back. Yeah, it's not going to cause any trouble. So first bead needs to be finished. And I'm just going to slide all of these off, trying not to touch them because they do still need a little bit more curing. It's much harder when I don't have... I know it comes... Okay. Take that out. This I'm still stuck with, but I got rid of the base. There we go. Now I have more control over what I'm doing. Okay. Everything's a learning curve, isn't it? Those down, and I'm going to go ahead and grab its reflective base, set my tile on that. Oh my, keep them on the tile in case there's any residual resin. They will definitely break away from that. Don't want them touching each other if I can help it, and I want to lightly touch them myself. So this set may be the least perfect set of the group. Hopefully my coordination will improve. Oh, crafting. Alright, and I'm going to turn the light away so that we should be able to, yeah, we should be fine to continue working here. So, I have my stick, I have this, its rubber band fell off, so I'm going to pray that it will still catch and hold. And apparently I should probably get more rubber bands that hold better. Alright, you back in your base. Oh yeah, stick on its thing. Stick, and spinner. Alright, and then this base is back in position. Alright, so we want to try these guys out and see what we get. So I didn't have a whole lot of room front to back in that UV light, so I'm going to leave that forward ever so slightly. Was this all of the gold? Yeah, this was all the gold ones. I only have the 4 of them. I wish I'd done more of these. These are exceptionally pretty. Alright, I lost an end cap off that. I'm just going to shove it back in, and likely the resin will hold it into place. So, and even though I've got gold in here, it's honestly more of a yellow, metallic yellow look under the translucent rather than overly gold. And when I use these for my leads, and this is definitely going to be a lead set, I almost always use the silver accent pieces because I have the most of them, and it just makes it easier than trying to go ADD and collect everything of every color to everything match. So it's a thing. All right, so let's get spinning. You know what? I could probably put another bead or 2 on here. So let's grab something out of the stash. Enough up. A little bit of room because resin will grab each other. That one's sitting around, so that can be my stopper. Ooh, that one's not going to want to go on there. Oh yeah, try it again. Alrighty, so set you to spinning. Support there. Find the resin. And I'm just going to let those guys sit under the light the whole time. I'm going to go ahead and bring you guys tight on what we're doing. So you can see the shape. So again, I'm just going to kind of touch the bead, go back and forth end to end until I look like I have, yeah, you can see it there. So it looks like it's got a good little base up on it. And touch and pull. And pull. I can't wait to see what these do. Alright. And just softly touch a paintbrush. Let it pick up a little resin, let it lay a little resin, or yeah, resin, whatever it decides it feels it needs to do at the moment. Oh, I wanted to hit these first, that's right. Try to make sure the resin has no bubbles. Yeah, it definitely, the lighter definitely starts to play with the shape on them a little bit. You can start seeing just a little distortion to the shape if you do it after you shape them out. So definitely think lighter first, then shape. And make sure that it touches just over that little bead end. So the first thing I'm aware of is that it covers side to side, and then I start playing with the shape. So I just want to make sure I've got solid coverage from end to end. Watch my brush, because sometimes I'll end up with the drip coming down, so I want to turn it around. And if it's basically how wet the brush is going to have the most control over whether you're adding resin or removing it, as well as pressure. So if I have a little, yep, so that actually ate up almost all the resin that was on that brush. So I'm liking the shape we've got there. Just jump around a half second. Turn off my light, bring it back. back into position and shove these guys in. Nope, up. Hold on. I want you guys to stay in there because I don't want the jumping around. I think the shape holds up better. Eek. Alright, definitely need to have a way to lock these in place and not just set in place. Boop. Or allow myself to have more. Oh my goodness, come on. Okay, so, yep, definitely not ready for a sale. At some point, I will get the system worked out, but it is not ready yet. Alright. Hold that bracket as I bring it through. Okay. Now they're in. Woohoo! Yep. So I am just a tiny bit long, but that's within... Yeah, so I need slightly fewer beads. Definitely did a little bit too much there. And kind of a 3/4 angle and make sure they all stay under the light, but having such a good spin and it looks like that's getting plenty of light, I think it'll be fine. So yep, just a couple seconds, long enough to set that first layer. Turn the light off and see what we got here, because we have to look. And yeah, that is definitely pretty darn epic. Those are gorgeous. And yeah, I'm getting pretty solid coverage on that first layer. Might be a little bit of blips and bubbles on this, so definitely the bigger the bead is, the harder, it looks like the harder, but I did a good job on this one, so maybe I left, I don't know, is that too much resin or not enough? I'm going to say it's not enough, because it looks like it's got a couple little spots missing, but anyway. Okay, second coat. It needs its little, oh, actually, pause you 1 second. Stop. Nope. Okay, just so you see what I'm dealing with here. Trigger's in the middle for off. That's on one way, that's on the other. So every time I go to try to do something with it, it ends up going insane, and it's frustrating. So just so you know, if you guys are looking for a resin mixer, try to find one that doesn't do that to you. No touching. No, okay, good enough. Trying to get a little more room on the end so it stays in there. You know what? Are you any better? Wait, oh, there we go. Now it'll just push itself. Ha! I got smart. Sorry. Yes, I am a little bit insane. It's fine. We'll just let that exist. Oh, yeah, that's much steadier. Okay. I wonder if I put that where it's, I don't know. I'll figure it out. It'll get there. The plan will come together. So that's the one that was so messy. And the dogs are having arguments. And yes, my dog room, or my craft room doubles as my dog room, which is unfortunate for the hair situation, but it's great for the fact that they love having time hanging out around mom, so it allows me to spend time with the babies, but they can get moody, so sometimes you guys will hear a little more than your fair share. I've got a girl in season right now, so she's had to get tucked away from everybody, and she's a little grumpy about them coming to say hi and sniff her. It's an interesting life living with a pack of dogs. Lots of fun, but very fascinating. Twice to make sure we've got a good spread. And because this last one was so weird, I'm going to just touch it up one more time before I send it in. Make sure it goes in there where I'm happy with the, yes, happy with the shape. Ah, that's the way to do that. Now I can just push it in. Woohoo! Sorry guys. I am a wee bit insane, I know. Maybe if I make a horseshoe shape out of the base where they connect so that one can shove into the other. And maybe if I give it a little guide in there, we'll have to see. I still need to figure out my bead roller plates for y'all too. I've got them printing pretty consistently, but now the resin company that I order my resin from all of a sudden has a 2-week delay on delivering 2 of the 3 colors I use. And one of those colors is in that big printer that prints them better than the small printers. So you guys are gonna have to have a little patience on letting the company get me back in stock before I can start playing with troubleshooting new designs and new models. So, but I do, on the flip side, my man decided he wants to get a big filament printer, which I play with mostly with the resin printers. I've fiddled with his filament printer and it's a pain in the butt. Way harder to get consistent printing. But the new one we're getting is more of a pro model. So I may be able to start offering a few things that will print better in filament than they do in resin. My rollers are wicked in resin. I wouldn't even begin to try to put them in filament because it's just not going to come out. And the cutters I do, for a little bit I was getting a better edge on the filament, but then they were unraveling when I was shipping because I needed something higher temp. So that's always drama. But anyway, so let's see. Are we good at 2 coats or do we want... Holy smokes. This one, do I have good shape on those? Yeah. Oh no, the shape actually is really good on that one now. Do I think I want a 3rd coat though? Gosh, those are amazing. Yeah, I think I'm gonna 3rd coat these because I want just a tiny bit more depth to the resin, looking through the resin into those. But holy smokes, those are pretty. Unfortunately, the camera almost never gives you quite the same effect or appeal. But all right, one more coat, and let's see how they go. It's definitely less resin as we go. Yeah, so the one major thing that's harder to print in the resin than it is in the filament is flat things. So doing like flat stencils or roller guides or even these base plates. These base plates would probably print up really nicely in the filament rather than resin. So if I get that printer working in a professional capacity where I can trust it to print what I need it to print when I need to ship something out the door, I will probably try making something that's, you know, generically will fit most mixers or whatever, and see if I can't get that out for you guys. But there you go. Oh, I forgot to hit it with the lighter. I guess I'm gonna do it and then reshape them. Am I losing shape? Maybe on this last one. Okay. Once more in the hands, head towards the light. Alrighty, so back to these guys now. It's just been sitting over there. Yeah. So fully cured now. So having them just sit an extra couple minutes flat without spinning seems to be the trick, because I've let them spin in there a while and they still end up feeling just the tiniest bit tacky. But it seems like if I bring them out and put them flat, they tend to hold up a little better. Let's get these guys all on a line because it makes it easier to see what we're looking at. There we go. Let's see if we can get some of that blue light off of there. So these were just marbled scraps over gold. And like in there's a bit of gold really popping through the translucent. But I'm thinking the layer of translucent ended up kind of thick here. So, but I'm loving the marbling effect through like here and there. The marbling effect on this end is amazing. Yep, so that's one set going. I'm going to call that done if I can get it to turn off. And take it out of its thingy. Guys, and we're going to turn that off. And again, try to lay them calmly and quietly onto the board. That's the one that's super sticky. Just lay them down. No, stay upright. Alrighty. Ah, everything's falling. Stay upright. Stay. Okay. Very, very, very gently set them on here. Because then that has a handle where I can pick them up and move them to the other side. Oh yeah. Do not fall. Yes! Haha! Steady hands today. Alright. And yeah, so here's another couple of sets. So anything that's got the, let me zoom in for you. Anything that's got a bit of metallic, whether it's leaf, whether it's in the just in the coloration, but anything with the metallics in it are amazing, amazing, amazing to resin. So those are I'm very excited about, and this set should be epic pretty. It was just a chippy choppy of translucent and something purple and a whole bunch of gold leaf. And so, whoop, don't mess up my organization. And then like some of these should be like the way that's got that appeal of like you can kind of see through some of it because it's all translucent in there except for the white. And so these should be pretty neat resined also. So I think what I'm going to do is I'll go ahead and set up this next stick. Let you guys stay with me a moment until those guys seem like they're probably done. And I'll show you what those butterfly ones turned out like, and then I will, oh, that one's snug. I'm going to leave that to the end. And then I'm just going to sit here and finish all of these up. And, ooh, you guys don't want to go on there. And my guess is that they've got a little bit of, yeah, they've got a little extra clay down in their hole. So I could sit here and find some sort of sandpaper on a stick, or I can just shimmy them on and shimmy them off. Alright, so now that I got that lined up, then I don't need a block bead for the other end. Because now that's not going to go further then, so that helps a lot. That makes that game steadier. Alright, what do you guys think you've done? Let's see. Yep, they feel done. Okay, so yes. Definitely, these are best with resin. Lots of shine, lots of shimmer, lots of coolness going on. And I like the little bit of green that stayed with it. Especially on that big one. The big one's really pretty. And then this was a pile of scraps, which makes it super fascinating because you see how it was this pile of scraps that was mostly just the translucent and white with minimal bits of color. And I love the way all those just, it was the shavings, all my shavings just shoved in a pile of scrap, and I just rolled it up and made a bead of it. I wish I had a ton more. It'd be easy enough to do though, because you could just layer white and translucent, white, translucent, white, translucent, and then just shave it down and just, you know, play with making a layer out of the pile. But yeah, this one to me is really fascinating. But those gold ones came out super pretty too. And it's neat too, because you get a lot of color distinction and color change in that gold because of the way the translucent was either thicker or thinner, depending on what part of the slice I put on. So yeah, I'm really, really happy with the way those came out. Those are absolutely stunning. So I'm gonna sit here and finish up a whole bunch of beads, and then I'll come back with a show and tell about how they all turned out and let you guys see what this stash of craziness comes out like. Purple ones will be pretty too. Nothing outrageous though, because there's not a whole lot of metallic to them, but they should still be really pretty. Alright, I'll be back, guys. Okie dokie, beads are all ready. This is the set we did early on. And man, those gold is So pretty. It really is more of a just soft yellow rather than overly gold. But in person, there's a good bit of metallic and fun showing through that. And these were the ones I was setting up to work on. I guess I need a little something to, there we go, better focus. Yeah, all the metallics, and these are really pretty. Gorgeous amount of glitter and shine. Pretty sure these were both just scrap colors that were sitting around that, and then it should be chopped into faux stone. These came out extra amazing too. Yep, I love those. And these are some of the just funky, more marbly ones that were just the leftover scraps all blended together from the project we worked on with the butterflies. I think some of these are the blue, and yeah, most of these are that blue interior. Oh, Hendrix, you're loud over there. I don't think that one's blue interior, that one's not. Oh, that's just a bunch of the scraps put together. Hendrix, come here, bud. Come. Come here, Hendrix. Stop yelling at your dad. There you go. Yeah. And then purple butterfly wings came out super pretty too. So yeah, that was today's project. Is get all these guys all glossed up and looking gorgeous. Hendrix, without help from the puppies. Come here. You don't need to yell at friends. They can have the bone. It's not yours. But yeah, so I think we'll close out, and apparently I need to go play fetch with the dogs because they've had enough of me sitting here making beads pretty. Anyway, hope you all have a good one.